What monumental feat of engineering has not only reshaped global trade routes, but also been a focal point of international politics for over a century? The answer lies in the heart of Central America, the Panama Canal. This man-made waterway connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans has a history as intricate and dynamic as the locks that guide ships through its passage. From early ambitions and failed attempts to its eventual completion and the geopolitical debates it continues to spark, the Panama Canal story is a testament to human ingenuity, determination, and the ever-evolving nature of international relations. The concept of a canal through the Isthmus of Panama dates back to the 16th century, when Spanish explorers recognized its potential to shorten voyages between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. However, it wasn't until the late 19th century that serious efforts materialized. In 1879, French diplomat Ferdinand de Lesseps, celebrated for his success with the Suez Canal, spearheaded the Compagnie Universelle du Canal Interoceanique to construct a sea-level canal in Panama. Despite de Lesseps' confidence, the project was fraught with challenges. The tropical terrain, coupled with rampant diseases like malaria and yellow fever, led to significant loss of life and financial ruin. By 1889, the French endeavor collapsed, having completed only about 40% of the project and leaving behind a legacy of ambition thwarted by the harsh realities of the Panamanian environment. The strategic importance of a transoceanic canal was not lost on the United States. In the early 20th century, under President Theodore Roosevelt's assertive foreign policy, the U.S. sought to take over the canal project. Negotiations with Colombia, which then controlled Panama, reached an impasse, prompting a pivotal shift in strategy. In 1903, with tacit support from the U.S., Panama declared its independence from Colombia. The newly formed Panamanian government swiftly signed the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty, granting the United States rights to construct and indefinitely administer the Panama Canal Zone, a strip of land surrounding the proposed canal route. This agreement set the stage for one of the most ambitious engineering projects in history. Armed with lessons from the French failure, the American approach incorporated significant changes. Recognizing the challenges of a sea-level canal, U.S. engineers opted for a lock-based system to manage the elevation differences and control the unpredictable Chagres River. Equally critical was the focus on public health. Under the leadership of Dr. William C. Gorgas, comprehensive measures were implemented to control mosquito populations, drastically reducing the incidence of malaria and yellow fever among workers. These efforts transformed the canal zone into a safer environment, enabling sustained construction progress. Imagine carving a pathway through the dense, unforgiving jungles of Central America, a path that would forever alter global trade and maritime history. The construction of the Panama Canal officially began in 1904 and was completed in 1914. The project, spearheaded by the United States, succeeded where the French had previously failed, and it remains one of the most significant achievements of the 20th century. The American phase of construction was led by a cadre of brilliant engineers and visionaries. Chief among them was John Frank Stevens, an accomplished railroad engineer who took over the project in 1905 after initial missteps. Stevens laid the groundwork for the canal's design, emphasizing the lock and dam approach rather than a sea-level canal, which would have been nearly impossible to complete due to the unpredictable and dangerous flooding from the Chagres River. Stevens was succeeded in 1907 by George Washington Goethals, an Army engineer who oversaw the bulk of the canal's construction. Goethals brought military precision and organizational skills to the project, streamlining operations and ensuring the completion of the canal on schedule. His leadership, combined with that of Dr. William C. Gorgas, who orchestrated widespread public health campaigns to combat tropical diseases, laid the foundation for success. The construction of the Panama Canal required an enormous workforce. At its peak, more than 40,000 workers were employed, drawn from nations across the world, including the Caribbean, Europe, and the United States. Labor conditions were harsh, but improvements in sanitation and worker housing mitigated some of the challenges that had plagued earlier efforts. Key materials used in the construction included concrete, with over 4.5 million cubic yards poured to create the massive structures, Steel for the lock gates, weighing approximately 662 tons each and rising to a height of 60 feet. Dynamite and excavation equipment with over 240 million cubic yards of earth and rock removed to carve the canal route. The total cost of the canal's construction reached approximately $375 million, equivalent to over $10 billion today when adjusted for inflation. This was an enormous investment, but one that yielded immeasurable returns in terms of trade and military strategy. The canal spans a total length of 51 miles, 82 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Key measurements include width at locks 110 feet, 33.5 meters, depth 41 to 45 feet, 12.5 to 13.7 meters. Maximum vessel size Panamax. Ships can be up to 965 feet long, 294.1 meters, and 106 feet wide, 32.3 meters. The canal operates via a system of 3 locks on each side: Gatun locks, Miraflores locks, and Pedro Miguel locks that lift ships over 85 feet above sea level to navigate across the isthmus and lower them back to ocean level on the other side. Perhaps the most significant obstacle was the Culebra Cut, a 9-mile section where the canal had to slice through the Continental Divide. This stretch required extensive excavation, with landslides frequently halting progress. Over 100 million cubic yards of material were removed from this section alone. Another formidable challenge was the Chagres River, known for its unpredictable flooding. The solution was the creation of Gatun Lake, an artificial reservoir formed by damming the river. At the time of its construction, Gatun Lake was the largest man-made lake in the world. The lock gates, massive steel structures, operate by gravity-fed water from Gatun Lake, allowing ships to traverse the canal without the need for costly pumping systems. On August 15, 1914, the SS Ancon became the first official ship to transit the canal, marking the completion of the project. The grand opening was a subdued affair, as World War I had just begun, overshadowing the monumental achievement. Nevertheless, the canal immediately revolutionized maritime trade, reducing the voyage from New York to San Francisco by 8,000 miles. And interesting facts: over 5,600 workers died during the American phase of construction, though this was far less than the 22,000 deaths recorded during the earlier French effort. The Panama Canal's lock gates are hollow to ensure buoyancy and ease of movement despite their immense size. A new set of locks, part of the Panama Canal expansion project, opened in 2016, allowing Neo-Panamax ships, vessels even larger than Panamax standards, to transit the canal. For much of the 20th century, the United States maintained control over the Panama Canal zone, a situation that became increasingly contentious as Panamanians sought sovereignty over their territory. Diplomatic negotiations culminated in the Torrijos-Carter treaties, signed in 1977 by U.S. President Jimmy Carter and Panamanian leader General Omar Torrijos. These treaties outlined the gradual transfer of canal control to Panama, a process completed on December 31, 1999. The handover marked a significant moment in U.S.-Panama relations, symbolizing a shift towards Panamanian autonomy and the end of an era of American territorial presence in the region.
Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question. I'm not going to stand for it.
In recent years, the Panama Canal has reemerged as a topic of geopolitical debate. President-elect Donald Trump has expressed dissatisfaction with the fees imposed by Panama for canal transit, labeling them as exorbitant and unfair to American interests. He has suggested that if these issues are not addressed, the United States might demand the return of the canal. These statements have elicited strong reactions from Panamanian officials who assert their sovereign rights over the canal and emphasize its importance to national identity and economic stability.
Every square metre of the Panama Canal and its surroundings belongs to Panama and will continue to belong to Panama. The sovereignty and independence of our country are non-negotiable.
The Panama Canal stands not only as an engineering marvel, but as a vital artery of global trade, facilitating the passage of approximately 5% of the world's maritime commerce. Its completion symbolized the ability of humanity to overcome nature's barriers and reshape the world map in pursuit of progress. Its history reflects broader themes of ambition, international collaboration, and the complexities of sovereignty. As discussions about its control and management continue, the canal remains a symbol of the enduring interplay between infrastructure and geopolitics. I hope you learned something new today. If so, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. What do you think about President-elect Trump's statements regarding the Panama Canal? Let me know in the comment section.